Hello guys, this is just a quick rundown of checkpoint 3. Okay, this will be really important for your project. Okay, so hopefully we're able to come back to school as soon as possible, but the next steps that we're taking in this project is we will write an essay over the atomic bomb in class together, and then we will do a class debate over the atomic bomb. So again, we're kind of building towards that. Okay, so checkpoint 3, I've attached a lot of resources. Okay, which of course is how I see it on my end. But this is the assignment that you will complete. Checkpoint 3, argument proposal. Now listen, it looks like a lot, but this is just getting your thoughts together. Okay, and past experience, people who do checkpoint 3 really well, the final product, the essay, is a piece of cake because you basically have a guide, an outline to follow. Okay, and so let's dive into that right now. So checkpoint 3 comes in 4 parts. Okay, the first part, you just write your topic sentence. Okay, now listen, do not use I believe or I think that. Okay, so your topic sentence will likely be the first sentence of your essay, but do not use I believe or I think. It makes you sound like you're wishing upon a magical star. Okay, you want to sound confident in your opinion. Okay, so I want to get you used to just confidently stating your opinion. So this is your opinion on the atomic bomb. The United States had justification to drop the atomic bomb because yada yada yada. Or the United States should not have dropped the atomic bombs because yada yada yada. Or maybe you think, the United States should have bombed Hiroshima but not Nagasaki because yada yada yada. You get the point. This is just your topic sentence or your thesis, the first sentence of your outline. Your reasoning and thinking in this. Now listen, you will expand on this later in your final product, okay? But I just want to see what your line of thinking is. So if you think that we should have bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, why do you think that? Okay, so give me 2 complete sentences why you think that. Or maybe you don't think we should have dropped either. Why do you think that? Listen, this is your opinion. This is not anybody else's. This is yours. This is a subject where it's not really black and white of what was right and what was wrong. It is a massive gray area in history. People have different opinions on it. So this is your opinion. I don't care what your opinion is, but I need you to tell. Well, let me rephrase. I care what your opinion is and it being your opinion, but my opinion on it isn't going to factor into your opinion on it. You're entitled to your opinion. And I want to see what your opinion on it is. I care what you guys have to say. Okay? So you'll write a couple sentences there explaining to me why you believe in that stance or why that is your opinion on the matter. The evidence from the sources. Now, this section always freaks people out, okay? But it's really nothing to worry about, okay? It's just getting the evidence aligned for your argument, for your essay. Any great essay has to have proof. It has to have evidence, okay? An argument without evidence is not an argument. It's just somebody rambling. Okay, I mean, that's just facts. You have to have evidence in your argument in order to back up what you're saying. Okay, and so all those sources that we looked at for 2 or 3 days, that's where that comes in to play. And I've attached digital copies of those sources right here. Okay, in the checkpoint, and it's in the doc itself that you're working on, and it is also right here. And so I said work smarter, not harder. You could click on a digital link of the secondary source or the primary source, find evidence that you want, copy and paste it, and explain how you're going to use that in your essay or in your argument to get your point across. Okay? So work smarter, not harder right there. Okay? Now listen. I know this is not going to be perfect because some of you guys do not have your note-taking guide with you that is at school, but this is just a start, okay? This is a pre-writing essay, so you are not losing points on if something is not exactly right. I just want you to get thinking, and then I give you feedback on it. So let me just stress that real quick, okay? This is not being graded for accuracy. This is being graded for completion, okay? So just try your best on it, and then you'll get feedback on it. Now, that being said, don't just slop something down. Still give your best effort, but just know it's low risk, okay? Because you will get points. You'll get the full credit if you just complete this in full, okay? I even gave you a hypothetical example source here. Okay, this is not any of the sources we read. I just made something up. But see, like, I showed you what I expect in these 4 boxes. So, like, the hypothetical source says the Potsdam Declaration to Japan, issued 11 days before Hiroshima, warned the Japanese to surrender or face utter devastation worse than what Germany endured before its surrender. And then for the column on the far right, how I'm going to use this evidence in my argument. You just explain to me, like, how are you going to use that evidence that you just quoted? Okay. This source shows how we gave Japan a chance to surrender before we dropped the bomb. They did not just listen. They just did not listen to our warning. Okay. You just do rinse and repeat for 4 boxes. Okay. And I want you to try to do 2 secondary and 2 primary. But it doesn't have to be exactly that. I just need to see at least 1 secondary, because I know in class we only had time to get to 2. But we did get to all the primary. That was sources 5 through 14. The primary were. Okay, counterclaim and rebuttal now. Okay? So you have your argument, but you have to address the other side. Okay? You have to address the opposing viewpoint, because that's what a good argument does. It doesn't shy away from the other side. It tackles that other side head on, and it shows why that other side is faulty in logic, and why your argument is the best. Okay? So the counterclaim, you just acknowledge the other side. For instance, like, let's say, the claim is my main point. Schools should not block students from accessing YouTube at school. That's my claim. Okay? Although sites like YouTube can sometimes distract students from the task at hand during class, that is the counterclaim. Okay? You are considering what the other side would argue. Okay? Allowing students to access YouTube in a time is essential in a time where learning is so modernized. Okay? And so, like, there, that's your rebuttal. You show, like, okay, yes, sometimes students can be distracted, but in this case, it's necessary because learning has become so modernized. So, like, if you're going to do this for the atomic bomb, okay, let's say I'm arguing that we should not have dropped the atomic bomb. Let's say that's my claim. The United States should not have dropped the atomic bombs. My counterclaim would be something along the lines of, some people will argue that we should not have dropped the atomic bombs because. So here, I'm going to go ahead and type that. So my counterclaim might be, if I was against both bombs, some people will argue that we needed to drop the bombs. And this is just a crude claim to quickly end the war. Your rebuttal could be something along the lines of, however, the United States could have pursued other options to end the war. You could have talked about the diplomacy, or we could have demonstrated the bomb. You could talk about a whole host of things there, or just like, however, it was not worth the death and destruction to the Japanese civilians. You're just coming right back. So, like, you acknowledge the other side. That's the counterclaim, but your rebuttal is you're proving why you're in the right, why your argument is correct. So you acknowledge the other side, and then you quickly come back with, like, why that other side is wrong and why you're right. That's all the rebuttal is. Okay? Now, so that is a quick rundown. Also, if you are arguing that the U.S. should have bombed Hiroshima but not Nagasaki, so like you're the one bomb crowd, you need to address 2 separate rebuttals. And what I mean by that is you need to have a rebuttal to those who say both bombs were necessary. So, some people argue that we should have bombed both, and then you show we should have stopped after Hiroshima. But you also have to address the counterclaim of people who didn't think we needed any bombs, and have a rebuttal as to why we needed to bomb Hiroshima. Okay? If you have questions about that, just reach out to me. Okay? In your checkpoint itself, I've given a worked example. Okay, now listen. This is a worked example of the format for checkpoint 3, okay? It does not give, like, answers. Like, it's not about the atomic bomb, because I didn't want to make it, like, that would just be giving you answers. But I did want to give you something if you needed to look at, like, the format of what I'm expecting, okay? So, like, in this case, I made it about a hypothetical paper about the Tennessee Valley Authority and its impact on the South. So, you see right here, like, I'm not going to go through this, but you see, like, if you were writing a paper about the TVA, here's how you would use this checkpoint to do your pre-writing. Okay. Again, just it's there if you need it, and if you have any questions, just let me know. This checkpoint will be due Friday at midnight. Okay. We'll have a little bit of time in class on Wednesday to work on it, but I really want you guys to get the jump on this because believe it or not, we have really about a month of class left if you factor in testing and everything else. And so we have to finish strong. It's been a great year so far, but I want to get us across finish line, and I need you guys all in to help us do that. We've had an awesome year, and let's finish strong. If you have any questions, just let me know.